Just three ordinary people from the hills of eastern Kentucky. We don't have all the answers, but we do have all the questions. This is the Just Add Bourbon podcast with Jimmy Don, JD, and Don. Welcome, everybody, to the Just Add Bourbon podcast. I'm Jimmy Don Fur.
I'm Dawn Giesica.
And our boy JD is out right now. We've had some issues. Everybody knows that JD and I are involved with the water system here in the county we live in. And JD is actually out right now. They've had some issues with the system today, so he's out there. He is going to try to jump in with us here at some point to kind of be part of this discussion today. And so we'll just start where we always do. Miss Dawn, how was your week?
Oh, it was good. I had some allergies, or I had a stuffy nose and a sore throat. The first thing you do now when you get a sore throat or stuffy nose is you panic. So I went off and got me a COVID-19 test. I don't know if everybody knows, but you can get these little rapid kits at CVS. There's 2 tests for like $25. Tested myself so I could sleep good at night and made sure I didn't get around the kids. I just need to put some, get some peace of mind. But it turns out it's just an allergy attack. Praise the Lord. So did good.
Allergies are strong right now. That's what we were talking before we came on. And I have allergies. I take an allergy medicine every single day just to try to tamp it down, and I can still feel it.
Yeah.
And you can tell that's when fall's starting to come. That's how I always know that the season's starting to turn. It's been hot and rainy, of course, all week because I guess the hurricane down in Florida moved up this way, or not in Florida. I guess it was up on the East Coast, but rained all week. But anyway, Ashton even said it today too, because she unfortunately was blessed with my allergies. So she said, "Yep, you can tell it's fall." She said, "I can starting to feel the allergies." So. I didn't do much this week, really. My life is pretty boring. I work and run kids around and, do comic book stuff and just, it's rinse, repeat pretty much for me every week. So,
I've seen your comic book stuff on Instagram. It's interesting.
Yeah, it's fun. I'm a total nerd. And it's fun to express myself, that side of myself, because I'm so business all the time,
right.
That to have that kind of release. And I'm almost monetized on YouTube. Like I have the watch time you're supposed to have. I'm short 69 subs right now. And then I can actually get paid from YouTube, which is kind of crazy.
That's awesome. That's so good. Everybody has to have an outlet, especially right now with all this stuff going on.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to jump in. We talked about JD being out right now working on the water system. And so we, kind of do a little local news here from time to time. And when JD, especially with JD and I being on here and being part of the water system, I as the chairman of the board, JD as a distribution supervisor in the system, like to talk about sometimes with the water system when things come up. And we've had an issue here in our system really for the past 7 weeks with some customers being out of water, essentially for like 7 weeks. Or being in and out of water, essentially for 4 households.
Yeah, I had read about that. That I follow the water stuff. And I actually, before I joined the podcast, I knew JD worked for the water company. I knew you were somehow involved, but I didn't know to what extent. Mm-hmm. So you guys have always been kind and respectful, because I've kind of come down hard on you all sometimes with water questions. And I didn't even know you guys were the ones that were like doing the thing behind the scenes. I think every citizen is concerned about good water. Everybody should have access to water. Everybody should have access to clean water. These are basic human rights. We agree on that. We know you're fighting for it, but it is worrisome when you see our region always make the paper. 7 weeks is a long time. I know the family that's out of water. They do have young children, and he made this comment about how he didn't think about hand washing being a luxury after he changed a diaper. So things like that kind of strike me hard. And I wanted to see if you felt comfortable enough to kind of explain and giving us an update on the water and letting us know where we are, where we will be. Where do you think we'll be in 3 years, in 5 years? What's the update with the water company?
Sure. So as far as where we are today, I kind of go back and I say this a whole lot. We inherited something when I became chairman about 3 years ago. We inherited something that was so messed up. It was hard for me to believe. Like, I'd never seen financials like I saw. I'd never seen a system in disrepair like I saw, and I don't know anything about hydraulics and water. I've self-taught myself, and it blew my mind. Let's just say that it blew my mind. And the situation that we have with the folks up on 645 right now, and that's just 645 is a road here. Everybody knows where that is. We got 3 or 4 homes up there that have been in and out of water for the past 7 weeks, and it's a couple of things. One, there's a pump station there that feeds those homes, that feeds those 4 homes. And people know where we live, this mountainous terrain. It's very, very hard to move water around. It's actually much more difficult than it is if you go to like a big city where everything's flat. Sure. We're having to move elevations. We run crazy pressures that other companies don't have to run. That's hard on your system. And the water district itself has not had any real money in years. I mean, like, as far as there was no real money put into it. Mm-hmm. So they've robbed pump stations, and this particular pump station, they've robbed of all the different things to try to fix, like electrical things, SCADA systems, all the stuff to try to put it on other stations when they had issues. So they go down there to try to fix this. The water goes out, and it blows a line out essentially and floods the station. That's happened to my count now 5 times in the past 7 weeks, where they would go down there and think they had it fixed. And part of that problem is the system itself being in such disrepair. It was so, for the lack of a better term, Jimmy rigged. It was so rigged up that they were having a hard time figuring out how to get it fixed. And they've been at what the situation that's happening right now, I do want to make this clear, is 100% unacceptable. We blamed a lot of stuff on prior boards and prior people that worked in the system. What's occurring right now is on me squarely as chairman, as the Alliance Water Resources, which is the management company that runs the system. This sits squarely on our shoulders because what has occurred here, taking 7 weeks to figure this out, is unacceptable. Mm-hmm. And we think we've got it ready now. They've hard plumbed the system because it essentially was breaking in the same place. They were having fluctuating pressure issues, we believe. And now they're getting ready to hard plumb it, brand new pump, the whole thing. And so hopefully those people will be back in water for good tomorrow. And that particular pump station as well is actually when Alliance came in, we sat down and identified probably the worst things in the system. Like essentially a checklist. All right, here's what's worst. If we get money, here's what we've got to fix first.
Right.
And this pump station is actually really, really high up on that list because it failed 3 years ago. They didn't have the money to fix it correctly, and they rigged it up. Okay. So this is actually in a grant that we're working right now to completely redo that pump station and fix that situation for good. So we're hoping that those folks, like I said, it's been 7 weeks of trial and error and trying to figure out what's going on. And we feel for those people. Like, it hurts my soul. I haven't slept good in probably 3 weeks since really this past week I figured out how severe it was. And I haven't slept good since. I know JD hasn't either. Everybody's trying to rack their brains to figure out how to make sure these people have good water because these folks pay their water bill.
Right. Yeah. And that's another thing. If you're paying for a service and not receiving a service, and they have every right to complain, everybody should complain. Everybody should come down hard on you guys on this. Yep. Why has it taken 7 weeks? Can you go into that a little bit? Are you guys having trouble with getting parts and maintenance things? What's going on? Why 7 weeks?
That's part of it. Is right now because of COVID, and we've beaten COVID to death talking about it. But right now, it is hard when we order something. We can't just get what we need. Sometimes things are 6-7 weeks out. Like, we've had to get incredibly creative about how we even order parts and pieces to try to get them here faster. So that is part of it. Part of it is really honestly, it concerned me when I was talking to the management company, and they said, look, we're not really sure what's wrong. Like, we're truly not sure exactly what's going on. And they've had to work a process. And so as working that process, you'll have these delays in between trying to get parts in, trying to get those things in to be able to fix it. And it's just we've learned a lot through this, that hopefully if this occurs again, and not when it occurs again, our system is in such disrepair, Don, infrastructure wise, that things like this are going to happen. And it's going to happen again. We're going to have an issue like this again. What we are working towards is consistency. And what I mean by that is basically once the flood happened, that was a natural disaster. We had all those outages. Since then till now, we hadn't really had any major issues. That is hands down the longest we have gone without any major issues. Now we're working some major issues right now. The system's acting crazy. It's an animal all of its own. And it's doing weird things right now, so we're working through those. And what you hope is after we get through these, we have that term of consistency, and it's longer than it was this time. And that has happened ever since Alliance has got here. They've really kind of changed the culture of the water district itself, and that's what we're continuing to try to do. And, the thing is, we talk a lot about it took 30 years to get in this mess. We ain't getting out of it in 3. In 2, I expect in a couple more years for us to be those time frames to be, probably 9 months to a year in between major issues.
Right.
And then eventually you get to where you're a couple of years out from major issues and you're just getting to work the system. Right now, we firefight as much as we do anything. We don't get to just do preventative maintenance. We don't get to just read meters. We're constantly trying to fix something and put out the next fire. And it's really frustrating. But like I said, since Alliance got here, we kind of see those periods of nothing going on have been extending out, like months at a time. And that's all we can really do is keep fighting it, keep pushing, keep working as hard as we can. And in situations like this, do the best we can by those people that have had these outages, and then hopefully get them back in and they never have to worry about it again.
Yeah, for sure. They're good families. They're productive citizens, important to the community. I hate that that's going on. When someone is out of water for such a lengthy amount of time, what does the community or the water company do to kind of plug that hole? Is gallons of water given to them?
We've been delivering water up there since they've been out. Our staff has been the Alliance staff has been in communication with people every day. I've been talking to customers once because my job as chairman, when we first came aboard, we were involved in the day-to-day operation of the water district, and a board is not supposed to do that. We're not supposed to be involved in the day-to-day operation of it. Our job is to look at the 30,000 foot view and kind of just say, okay, and that's what I've been doing for the past, really since Alliance got here and the trust between the board and them was developed. We started to where we could trust them and we felt comfortable kind of stepping back from the day-to-day stuff. And we've been planning, working on grants, figuring out in the system what needs to be fixed first, going down, shaking hands with politicians, talking, trying to get money here. And that really became my job. Right. And so I wasn't really that involved in the day-to-day. They would come and let me know, and I knew that was going on up there. I just didn't know how severe it was. Now that when I was made aware of it and I understood what was going on, I've been involved every day. Like I've been calling the customers. I've been keeping in contact. They have a point person because they all talk to each other, and I feed information to him. I'm pushing, the Alliance staff incredibly hard right now. To get back and work. They've seen a side of me that most of you will probably never see, and they hope to never see again. Yeah. So, it's part of it. But my resolve, I actually had somebody say to me, Don, the other day, I said, I was defending Alliance and what they've done since they came in here. And I understand people's frustration. This is a professional management company. Why in the world are we have anybody out for that time frame? And they're right. That's a very valid question. But what I can tell you is by defending Alliance, I feel like I'm defending our community. Because if we don't allow them the time to do what needs to be done, then we're not interested in fixing our problem. These guys know things about the water system that it blows my mind to talk to them. Todd just commented, he didn't know how much work went into getting water to your house, and it would blow your mind everything that goes on. And they understand it. They're professionals. They understand what's happening in a way that I never will. And I don't know that there's anybody around here necessarily qualified, to understand what's going on either. So I think if we can give them time, and what we need as much as anything is for the community. We understand it's bad. We deserve the criticism. Like in this case, we deserve every ounce of criticism that we've gotten, every ounce of it. we need the community to wrap their arms around us and pray for us and just try to be with us as we push forward, because we have made amazing strides. It's just amazing the difference between when I first started with it and what it is now. But we're still going to have these issues like this. Unfortunately, this won't be the last one. And, we're going to have those. You just hope that they're fewer and far between when they do occur.
When do you think it will be resolved?
Like the current situation or the water thing?
6:45. When will they finally have water? Okay, so
yeah.
All right, so good. Well, thank you, Jimmy Don. I was just, like I said, I follow the Martin County Water Warriors. I believe in their mission. I'm all about everybody, getting clean water and having access to clean water. And I also support and believe in your all's mission too. So I'm kind of devil's advocate on it, but hopefully that'll get resolved tomorrow. So,
well, people have asked me, Don, many times about why I got involved, because I'll never forget this as long as I live. It's been one of the most trying times of my life, but also one of the most rewarding. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that is I feel like I'm trying to do something for the community. And this is not a knock on anybody that came before us. I understand now when you're sitting in public life and you're looking at what like your leaders are doing, like local leaders, and you talk about the water system and you think, if I could get in there, I'd do this, 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 and this. And then you get in there and figure out real quick, it ain't that easy. Right. There's not as much money as you thought there was. Things cost a whole lot more than you think they do. And it takes a heck of a lot longer to get anything done than you would ever imagine. But I have more resolve today than I did a week ago that we're doing the right thing and that we're pushing forward, because once we get these people fixed, it'll be fixed. Okay. We have multiple scenarios across the county where we've had people with water issues for years. Like it was a constant problem. Like it was never consistent. And Alliance has been able to go in there and fix it. And those people don't have those problems anymore. And we just have to fix those things one at a time. And I mean, we actually had an estimate done of what it would take, not to build a new water plant. This was just to repair the infrastructure that's in the system. It's $50 million just to repair the infrastructure alone. And, and like I said, it's a tough gig. It's something that I don't know that I would do again, like knowing what I know now. But I mean, I really did. And this is so corny, but this is 100% the truth. I was at the Nutcracker. The former chairman, John Horn, came to me and said, "Hey, I need you to do something that you're not going to want to do." And I said, "Well, what is it?" He said, "I need you to be on the water board." And I was like, "You're out of your mind. There ain't no way I'm being on the water board."
Leave it to John.
Yeah, right. I got words for John Horn. He listens to this. I still got words for you, buddy. But the idea of the plan was for me to be on it 6 months and get them straightened up financially where they could see what they had, because it was losing like $100,000 real money every month. Like it was unreal. And I was able to, bring it down, tighten it up to where it was losing about 30. And then, we started working on things. And I was sitting there one day, when he asked me, I put it off for a long time. But one day, and this is the corny part, I was sitting there looking at my girls and I just started thinking I was like, what if, when they get older, they want to live here and we're still having these water issues, we're still having these same problems. What if they look at me and said, "Dad, you had the ability to help fix this. Why didn't you?" Yeah. And I didn't want to have to answer that question. Yeah. And so right after that, I called Horn. I said, "All right, I'll do it." I was supposed to be there 6 months. That's what I agreed on. It's been almost 4 years now. And it has become a passion for me. And I know JD and all the people that work in the system, all the folks at Alliance, it's become a passion to try to do the right thing and try to get this thing fixed. And like I said, we're on the right track. People just need to be as patient as they can. And I know that's hard, especially when you've been out of water for 7 weeks. You're like, how much progress you really making? But I can tell you that we are 100% making progress. We get these people fixed. They're going to be good for the long term. And we'll move on to the next disaster. So.
Yeah. Well, good. Well, thanks for updating this.
No problem.
Hopefully it'll all get fixed tomorrow. Praying for the family. We love those families. We love you guys. Hopefully it all line out. That's a good reason though, Jimmy. I mean, we want to do everything for our kids, right? So that could kind of segue us into this COVID stuff.
Yeah, no, absolutely, Don. And, this week, and I'm going to call this the stat of the week, okay? We'll call this, if I had sections or segments, I would call this the stat of the week. and I heard this week, and it kind of reflects back on our state senator, Mitch McConnell. He was Eastern Kentucky University talking to the students there. He's actually going to be here in Pikeville pretty soon. He's kind of doing a tour of Kentucky right now. His area is talking, about COVID and just the state of things. And the stat that he threw out was that of all the people that are in the hospital right now that are sick and really having trouble, this is extreme, 98% of those cases are people that are unvaccinated. Mm-hmm. He said that's the only stat that you need to know. Mm-hmm. All this other stuff that people are saying, that's the one stat you need to know. And that's coming from the head of the Republican Party, essentially, the minority leader in the Senate. He's telling you 98% of the people that are sick in the hospital are unvaccinated. That really rung a bell to me.
Right.
And
it's in your face, right? I mean, you can't argue with that. We know we know it's true, whether it's coming from Mitch McConnell or not. It's also coming from our local doctors. It's coming from our local hospitals. It's not that I'm pushing the vaccine on people. I understand why people have questions. I understand that it's a new vaccine and we don't have, a lot of data on it and things of that nature, but we're in a crisis mode. We've beat the COVID horse. I feel like I'm beating a dead horse with it. We're in a crisis mode with this. If you don't vaccinate, that's your choice right now, but the FDA is fixing to give the full approval this week. And then I think you're going to see lots of mandates, but you need to mitigate. If you're not going to vaccinate, you need to mitigate. You need to do something to help us through this crisis. We can't have all of our hospitals stuffed. We just can't. That cuts out, like I've said, heart attack patients, chemo patients, RSV babies. There's only so many beds. So I really wish that people would look at the data, look around you, try to make an informed decision for yourself and kind of just kick out what other people think and do what you have to do to protect yourself and your own family.
No, I agree, Dawn. I mean, as far as, and like I said, and you're talking to somebody whose opinion has changed. And I'm scheduled this week to go get my first shot. I'm going to go get it. See, hearing that number, as much as I'm looking at these statistics in my mind, I'm just still scared of it, right? I was just still scared. And so, I heard McConnell say that, and I was like, wow, if that doesn't ring true. And then somebody that I know, a friend of mine, is in the hospital right now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
With everything that he's got. He's having a hard time. He is fighting it with everything he's got. And that made it hit home. And I was like, and that's a lot of times I think, Dawn, really, and that's the part that's unfortunate. You don't want it to be that. Somebody that you know and love get really sick and have to fight it and potentially die from it for it to come home. And I am 100% against mandates, okay? I think it is the high. Well, I mean, I saw, that's something that actually where you've been in healthcare. I have a cousin who works in healthcare. She has had to wear almost like a hazmat suit, the N91 mask for years. She actually got COVID. Well, they are threatening at her job that if she doesn't go get vaccinated, that she could potentially lose her job.
Right.
And her thing was, she has a concern too. She had a sister who passed away, my cousin that passed away, and it was due to blood coagulation, and it was something in the genetics that could be an issue with this vaccine. And so she's concerned. Well, she went and saw her doctor, and he said, look, number one, he said, you're a healthy adult. You don't have to get excited about this. Just take your time, do your research, and get yourself comfortable. They're going to do the proper test to make sure that she doesn't have that issue that her sister had, so that can ease her mind. And she had the disease, so they're going to
check her antibodies.
Mm-hmm. And I saw a meme today, and it made me think of her. It was, I wish I could find it. Maybe JD, maybe you posted it on our page.
Oh, I did, because it's unscientific, Jimmy Dawn, to ignore natural immunity. It really is. Now, don't get me wrong. Natural immunity goes down just like the vaccine immunity goes down. But people who get sick for the next 90 days Really don't need to worry with the vaccine. That's what the CDC started out with. They kind of started shifting around, but really they should stick with that. That's my opinion. I'm not an expert, but I have seen the CDC shift around too much. And when it comes to natural immunity, I really believe that in 90 days, you'll be fine, and then you can get vaccinated. I think that people should have a freedom of choice. I think they should have medical exemptions, but at the same time, you also can get high risk of blood clots with birth control and things of that nature too. When it comes down to this vaccine and this pandemic, if you're not going to do it for yourself, do it for your kids. Right now, we're opening schools left and right, and we know, Lord, I'm about ready to get on my soapbox. We know for sure when kids go to school, even without COVID, they bring home flu, stomach virus, colds, things. It is a petri dish constantly. Once these schools really get rolling, you are going to see sick kids. That's just how it is. Kids, for the most part, seem to still do good, but we really don't know because Delta is just now kicking in. See, COVID-19, the kids did phenomenal with that. But this is Delta variant, so this is completely different. So we're going to have to get some time, and we're always like a week or two behind to see how these kids do. If you don't want to mask, if you don't want to vaccinate, if you don't want to do those things, then don't come running to us when your kid is running 103 fever and freak out because, baby, we only got so many beds. We only have so many doctors. We only have so many nurses. We only have so many lab techs, housekeepers, phlebotomists, X-ray techs, you name it. There are only so many to go around. I don't know why people in this country don't understand basic math, but numbers don't lie. You don't have just Paul B. Hall in trouble. You don't have just Pikeville Medical in trouble. You don't have just King's Daughters in trouble. They're all in trouble. So everybody will freak out when they go for basic appointments or they call for a basic appointment and they are told, we can't do that right now. We're talking about biopsies being delayed, gallbladder surgeries being delayed, all these elective surgeries, which I hate that term, being delayed. This should scare you. It's a bad time to have a heart attack. It's a bad time to have a car accident. So if you can, just try to not move around because the healthcare is strained. The healthcare system is strained. That's not political. None of this is political. These are our friends, our family, our communities dying. We don't ever talk about anything serious in this country, it seems like. And the top thing that's killing people, that puts you at risk, is obesity. This is not a fat shaming segment. This is full on fact. Right now is a good time to start eating healthy, start walking around your neighborhood, try to eat plant-based, quit eating out of boxes. If you're not going to vaccinate, come up with something to protect yourself. Kids are not going to have a good school year. The writing's on the wall.
Yeah, no, it is. And I wanted to kind of throw a couple things at you as far as when it comes to mandates themselves. And, you know, I'd read a story about a doctor in Alabama that said that he would no longer treat patients who were not vaccinated. And I was interested to know your thought on that, because I think that is goes totally against their Hippocratic oath, as far as what they're supposed to do as a physician. You treat the sick, correct? And what do you think about that, though? Because it is, I mean, I don't know, like even in the school system here locally, if you are unvaccinated, they're not telling you have to get vaccinated, but if you're unvaccinated and you end up having to be quarantined, then you have to use your sick days to be off work. But if you are vaccinated, they won't make you use your sick days. That doesn't seem right to me either, in the fact that you can still get COVID even if you're vaccinated. It's just not as severe. That's, right. That's the thing, is it's not as severe. So kind of talk about those two things, Don, like with the guy in Alabama, and then
I saw the guy in Alabama. I saw that. I agree with you. It's against his oath. It's against healthcare. Do not go in health. We have so many people going into healthcare, especially in the nursing profession right now, because it's a solid job. You can make money. You will always have a job. We don't need those types of people. We need the type of people going into healthcare that have a passion to sit there, get puked on, crapped on, coughed on, the whole nine. You're lifting, you're tugging, you're sweating under loads and loads of PPE. Those are the people we want. Don't come to us because you get an instantaneous $25 and right now $45 an hour to put you on a COVID unit. Do not come to us for that. come to us because you care about people and you have a passion to heal. When it's not just the Alabama doctor, there is a group of doctors in Texas that actually met with their board. It's a practice, and the practice is overseen by this board. It's a huge practice. And they actually considered kicking everybody out that wasn't vaccinated. This is getting serious because you have to look at their side a little bit. They're exhausted. Last year, a year ago, we called them heroes. We were shipping in donuts. We were putting those little pop-up signs going, heroes work here. Well, honey, where did that go this year? Yeah. Because this year, we don't give two shits what they're doing in the hospital. We actually even have a small, teensy, tiny portion of the healthcare system that's still like, oh, we don't believe in this and we don't believe in that. They will be rooted out. This healthcare crisis that we have affects Democrats, Republicans, old and young. If we don't work collectively, it will never get better. And I don't know if we're going to vaccinate our way out of it because it keeps mutating, Jimmy Dawn. But right now, it and a few treatments and mitigation are the only things that we can rely on. I don't know why people won't do it just for their children. Let these kids have a chance at school. Let them have a chance at running around living free without masks on their little faces. We can't do that because the adults won't do it.
I got to tell you, the other day, and the mask thing, it's kind of coming back on school grounds and things like that. And I forgot how bad I hated that mask. Like I had, put it on and walked in, and I was at a volleyball game, and I was sitting there, and then the principal of the school came up to me, who I know and love, but she said, you need to put your mask on. And I was like, well, why? I don't know. I was just like, because I'm sitting by myself essentially. Mm-hmm. And she was like, look, that's just the rule. So I put it on, and for a second, I got infuriated. Like I was like, oh, I cannot believe I got to put this mask on. And then finally I just put it back on, and I was like, all right, shut up and, just do your part, do what you got to do.
Right. And so that's how people should look at it. But we've got so many cases of parents going in irate to schools and demanding teachers take their mask off. One teacher was punched in the face, I think, out in California, Northern California. A parent went in, punched the teacher in the face over a mask. And I hate to wade into the mask debacle, and I won't, but we do know masks help. We know there are specific masks that really help. And when you have a large portion of our population that cannot get the vaccine, kids, and then some different types of medically sick people that can't get the vaccine, we should do what we need to do to protect them. And that's not bleeding heart. People want to call me Democrat or liberal, then I don't really care what you call me. I'm a person that cares about other people. I'm a person that cares about my neighbor. I'm a person that cares about my kids having my little girl, I don't mean to segue so much, but my little girl got her 5th grade ended, and then my oldest got her senior year ended abruptly, just like you guys did. We got over the senior year. Reagan went on to college. Everybody did fine. But when it comes to Brooklyn, she still doesn't have a normal 6th and now 7th grade year. That is on us. That's on the government. That's on the CDC not making up what way they want to go. One minute it's a pandemic. The next minute you think about it, they told everybody that they could take their mask off when we were actively watching the UK fall to Delta. Yeah. And then we were like, hell with it. Take your mask off. It's a government failure, but it mainly is an adult failure. I do not need Mitch McConnell. I don't need Donald Trump. I don't need Joe Biden. I don't need any of those people to tell me to take a vaccine or to wear a mask. I literally have my own brain. I can read, I can critically think, and I know that that's the only way that my kids have a chance of having some normalcy. And right now, I don't think we're going to see normalcy for probably another 2 years.
I think you may be right, Dawn. And, that's something for me. Like I said, as I've worked myself through it, my head through, getting it done, the most important thing to me is that my kids get their education properly. As I told you last week, my oldest daughter wants to be a doctor and she wants to go to Vanderbilt. Mm-hmm. And if we don't have normal school years, she's not going to get the education she needs to make that happen.
Right.
And so, all those things have factored into my ultimate decision, mm-hmm. Of what I'm going to do. And like I said, I want people to be able to make the choice for themselves, but also understand that if these numbers stay the way they are, then we're not going to get a choice.
We're not going to. We have to think about the children who are autistic and have different different disorders that cause them to panic when they have masks on, we would not be seeing the need. Well, I don't know if this is completely true, but we wouldn't see the need for so many people to mask if we had more vaccines on board, or if we had more herd immunity. I don't know what the answer is, but I do know that we're failing our kids, and we have to come up with a reason or with a plan to fix that, to remedy that. I don't know. I don't get it. One of my little neighbors right now is running an active 103-degree fever. He's not eligible for the vaccine. Now he's YouTubing and doing his thing, but he's on day 2. His parents haven't slept for 48 hours because when your child has COVID, it scares you. When they have the flu, it scares you. We've got babies that are popping up positive. We've got pregnant women that are dying left and right.
No, no, you're right, Don. I want to touch on something real quick, and then I want to move the conversation over to Afghanistan. And it was a post that you had put on our Facebook page this week about nursing home. People, I think it was like only 40% of people who work in nursing homes have been vaccinated. And Biden came out and said that, hey, look, everybody's getting vaccinated or we're cutting off federal funds. Yeah. And I know a lot of people that made him mad. But, okay, look, I'm going to tell you that, and this will probably sound different than what people would think I would say, but if you work in a nursing home and you're in with the most vulnerable, you probably ought to get vaccinated. And that's because the one time, like, I don't like it when people virtue signal, like that drives me nuts as far as virtue signaling. But you work in a nursing home, could be my grandmother, that could be my mom, my dad, whatever. And I don't know. I feel like you ought to really consider getting vaccinated if you work in a nursing home.
I think it's a sad state of affairs that the government has to lay down a heavy hand on something that is so in our face of what we need to do. But that's going to be how they get everybody's attention, is when they hold back that federal funding. I do not believe in mandates. I think that people should be able to choose. But because people are not choosing the way that we need to choose to get out of this, you will see government push, because this is costing everybody a fortune. It's costing the health insurance companies a fortune, the hospitals, the employers, when you have to sit out for 2 weeks because your kid's sick and now you're sick, so that's another 2 weeks. It's costing a fortune to everybody. You will see pushback on that. I hate that there's mandates. I hate that they are telling people who've been on the front line for an entire year and a half, exposed to this for an entire year and a half, that you are dispensable to me now because you won't vaccinate. I truly hate that, but I understand it. I'm like you, I understand it, but I hate it. I think that you will probably see some people quit, and then everybody be like, oh, we're going to have a staffing shortage. There really is never staffing shortages in healthcare. We choose that. There's 2 things that we can control in hospitals. I know it's inventory and labor. If you look around, you can name probably 25 nurses that 25 CNAs, 25 X-ray, 25 lab or more. We could employ all of them at one time if we needed to. We could tap the National Guard. We could do all kinds of things. You can quit, but they'll plug the hole. Yeah. And then why did you go into healthcare?
Sure.
Healthcare and military are the very people that's going to get nailed with new vaccinations. I had the only reason why I got smallpox. You remember when 9/11 happened? When 9/11 happened, I shortly found out I was pregnant with Reagan. So I was working in the lab and I was pregnant, scared out of my mind, because at that time you had politicians being mailed. Do you remember when they were being mailed like anthrax and things of that nature? Well, honey, here come the employee health nurse, and she was giving smallpox vaccinations out. She gave it to everybody in the lab that day, put big bandages over them, and sent me home for a week because they didn't want me to risk being around the oozing of the arm. They didn't have a choice. I mean, they didn't. They just took it. You could either quit or you can take your smallpox vaccine. And this was in 2001? That's when that happened.
Right.
But there was no outcry. Now we know for sure that COVID tackles the elderly. So if you're working directly with a vulnerable population, then you need natural antibodies, and you need to prove your natural antibodies. You need to be in PPE constantly. Those are the choices that I feel like they should give, or you need to vaccinate. It's going to be one or the other, but you can't just go in willy-nilly.
Yeah, no, I think you're right, Don. And you mentioned a couple of things there that I think will segue us nicely into our next topic, and that's been the hot topic of the week, and that's Afghanistan. We originally went into Afghanistan, as you said, when 9/11 occurred, and we went in to try to get the terrorists, the people who did this, and 20 years later, we just left, and it has been nothing short of a travesty.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people to blame for this. I mean, all the way back to George Bush, who originally sent us there. Then you've had Obama, you had Trump,
Right.
and now Biden. And I get that everybody has a little blame on them, but I think what's occurring right now strictly lays on the shoulders of Joe Biden. And just talk a little bit about it, Don, what you've seen this week. I mean, from the American citizens that are still there, the exit strategy we did, if we even had one, the fact that we've left $85 billion worth of money and gear and equipment. You've got the Taliban making fun of us by putting on our gear and doing a photo of Iwo Jima. I mean, they're making fun of us. I mean, it is unbelievable. Kind of give us your thoughts on what you've seen this week with Afghanistan.
Oh, well, you've seen, like I said last week, it's preposterous to blame anybody else but Biden. I know that Trump had a plan. Hell, Obama had a plan. Everybody had a plan. We all wanted to get out of Afghanistan. Everybody agrees that every president wanted to do that. Trump had an exit strategy. I guess everybody was supposed to be out by May 1st. Trump is not the president.
Right, and Joe Biden has overturned pretty much everything Donald Trump has done. So if he wanted to overturn this, he could have done that as well.
He could have done that. We have turned off our European allies. We have caused everybody to be dismayed. This is the biggest foreign policy disaster that we've probably seen in our lifetime. We will pay for the Taliban is their government now. We have to ask the Taliban permission because they're in control of the major airport over there. We have to ask them permission to get our Americans out. And let me give off some quotes that I've been watching the news with this. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan, he was talking about Afghanistan. He says, and I quote, "I am not going to comment on the hypotheticals about what United States troops will do if Americans and Afghan allies are not out by the August 31st deadline." That's a quote. Lloyd Austin, you know who he is? That's Biden's defense secretary. "I'm going to remove Americans and Afghan allies, quote, until the clock runs out or we run out of capability." What is that saying to you?
That's scary. They don't care. I mean, it's just like they don't care.
So if you run out of the clock, Defense Secretary Austin and me and Jimmy Don are still sitting over here trying to fight through checkpoints, getting our asses beat by the Taliban, trying to get to checkpoints. Me as a female, I wouldn't make it over there. Nope. None of the girls watching, none of us would make it over there. So, and then you have your Defense Secretary have the audacity to say, "I'm going to remove you as long as I've got time." Hell no, you ain't. We're the United States of America. We could run in there right now. You could take any infantry group, take the smallest infantry group out of the United States Army. Hell, take 15 Marines, do whatever you got to do, 4 Navy SEALs, and we can go in there and get everybody we need to without all these Democrats. Look at this. This is Biden's people that he's picking. He picked these people. Yep. And they get on TV and say that they're only going to remove people until the time clock is up. Why are people not up in arms on this? Do you know what happens come August 31st? Women and young girls lose every right that they have. They are hiding right now. Where is Me Too? It was just a few years ago that everybody was talking about how we got sexually assaulted every day that we walked around. And I'm not knocking Me Too. It was a good movement. But where the hell are you now, Alyssa Milano? Where you at?
I know, I agree 100%.
Where you at, Chrissy Teigen? Look at all these women that we're leaving by, 14 to 17 million women.
No, and the thing that drives me crazy is, we got all this plan going on. I don't know if the generals are in combat. I don't know what's going on. But they're talking about getting, everybody woke training as far as, I don't know. Like, I don't understand what's occurred. Now, I do think this. I think if Trump was still president, Trump would have told them, you do one thing and we will make your castle a sandcastle. It is, and I think that's because really in the 4 years that Trump was there, it's the first time in modern history, really since I've been alive, that there hasn't been a war somewhere.
Right.
And
Jimmy Don, have you ever been into a fight?
yes.
You've been in more than 15?
No.
Okay. I have. I've been in plenty of fights. When you operate from a point of weakness, this is what you get. When you operate from a point of strength to where people know you will fight. I'm 125 pounds. I have fought big ones. I have fought little ones. I've fought mean ones. I've fought nice ones. I'll fight them all if they want to come at me. When you operate at a point of strength, then you have no problem. We wouldn't have the problem that we have. But Biden and them are fighting like weak little babies. And that's why they're letting everybody know we're going to remove people up until August 31st. And then after that, good luck. We're talking about Afghan allies. We're talking about people who risk their lives helping our soldiers.
No.
Helping us.
Well, no, Todd said it. This is funny. Martin County, sending Donna 10 of her Martin County buddies.
That's
Amen.
right.
Well, a lot of her Martin County buddies, they've all served. I said, our people are the ones who are patriotic. And, I don't know. No, as far as I just can't believe that we're letting this occur. Like, I just can't believe it. It blows my mind.
Oh, really? Because, I guess you haven't heard Nancy Pelosi.
Oh, no, you're right. I mean, as far as that goes, that part doesn't surprise me. It's just the fact that we are the United States. And who does this benefit directly? China. And and everybody should be scared of that because when those people sense weakness, China, Russia, we got a problem. Mm-hmm. And, and I wanted to ask you about this, Don, because we are getting close to our hour, but Biden has been hiding. And I mean, he's been at Camp David. They had to make him come back because there were so many people going crazy. And he's like, we did what we were going to do. Well, I get that. We agree with you as far as I agree. I wanted to be out of Afghanistan. Mm-hmm. But I didn't want to leave Afghanistan and leave their people without essentially their government where the women and children can be raped and, and married under Sharia law. I didn't want our allies, the people who have helped us since we've been there, to get killed because they helped us. I didn't want the people in the American embassy to get killed. I didn't want to leave them $85 billion worth of equipment. We essentially outfitted the entire Taliban army. We would fight them with our own stuff.
We did. Yeah.
That strategy. There was no strategy.
There was no strategy. It was chaotic. It was chaos, mayhem. I mean, we left abruptly. If he knew that he was going to go ahead and leave, hell, Jimmy Don, me and you could have done a better job. If I knew I was going to have to empty out an entire just simple building and have it empty by X whatever date, I would start a long time ago. Why didn't we start evacuating people months ago? If you knew that you were he's been president now for 7-8 months. Why didn't you start evacuating them months ago? But I mean, it's just a whole mess. Afghanistan is a complete mess. Not even Democrats can defend it. 76% of people who were polled by CBS said that it was a complete disaster. We look embarrassing. We've embarrassed ourselves. We've thrown 20 years of war and money. And how much money did you say we spent? I
read a statistic. It was earlier this week, but I read this statistic that said if we took all the money that we've spent in Afghanistan since we went there in 2001, mm-hmm. that every single citizen of the United States of America could be given a check for $110,000.
Isn't that something?
Think about that. That's our taxpayer money. That's our tax money.
Our war budgets are out of hand. The richest 10 counties in the United States of America are all centered around Washington, D.C. and the Beltway. Yep. War is a money-making machine. The lobbyists, the defense contractors, it is a money-making machine, and they are all tied to these politicians. You have every president that goes in comes out a multimillionaire somehow.
Yep.
And when we go back to President Biden, I've always been easy on Biden because in my heart, I really believe that we got off easy on getting him. We could have got 100 worse Democrats. I think they used him. I think the Democrat Party used him. I think he is China's bitch. I think that he is the Democrat Party's bitch. That's just how it is. They're taking advantage of an old man who should never be in this position at this time. He really shouldn't. And who knows what their plan is.
Well, that was going to be my next question, Don, was do you think this is it for Biden? Because now it is my firm belief that the Democratic Party wanted our VP, Kamala Harris, who is gone too. Like, we haven't seen her either. They're trying to insulate her as far from this as they possibly can, in my opinion. That is who they wanted, but everybody hates her. And I think that's why she has to wear that mask all the time, so you can't see her smirk and, grin and do all the things that drives everybody nuts. But whether it was on purpose, because, Obama, the people that are leading this Taliban push are for prisoners of war that Obama let go during his term. They are the ones who were sitting in the room in the Capitol. Obama let those people go. Trump has his part in this too. But whether this was staged so they could get rid of Biden, I hope not, good Lord. Or if it's just they're going to take advantage of an opportunity, I think that this may be the point where they get rid of Biden, whether he gets impeached, whether they was it the 25th Amendment?
It's the 25th Amendment. Look, I pray for him to stay healthy and keep his cognitive abilities every day. We all should. Kamala Harris bragged that she was she was the last person to leave the office when they made the decision on the Afghanistan, when they left Afghanistan. And then all of a sudden, poof, they're hiding her. There is a solid case that could be made that there's some shady stuff going on to make Biden look even worse than what he already looks by making this disastrous plan. There's definitely a case that could be made. You would have to have your head in the sand to ignore it. You've got senators, you've got ex-presidents calling for his resignation, calling for him to be impeached. He is how old now? He's close to 80. Who knows what they'll do to him or what they'll shove him toward. But we could very well be on the brink of having President Harris, who has somewhere in the 40s of an approval rating. Remember, Democrats didn't even want her.
This will be your VP.
She didn't
Nancy Pelosi.
She didn't even primary well. And that would be a bloodbath for Democrats in 2022 and in 2024 if that happens. I think that all their plans have went awry. I really believe that when you're dealing with a party and when you're dealing with human beings who really honestly believe that their opinions are superior, I never want to come across as my thoughts and opinions on COVID are superior. They are not. They're just my opinions, my meek little opinions. This particular party, though, they, honest to God, think that they're right about everything. And I think their minds are blown that the pandemic is worse now than it's ever been, 10 times worse.
And they were going to fix it. Biden said he was going to fix it.
He tweeted last year in 2020 that we were 8 months into the pandemic. What was Trump's plan? And not to worry that he'll take care of it if he becomes president. Well, you're president, honey. You're president. And we are still masking our kids. We're still trying to figure out what's going on. So what are you doing? Where is he on the pandemic? And then you turn around and you have Afghanistan just blow up on us, completely blow up on us. That's going to, think about what we did. We gave an entire country that we set and took care of for 20 years and dumped all of our money into to terrorists who loathe, hate us. This is not going to work well. Our kids are going to pay for what went on in Afghanistan. We're going to be back to worrying about suicide bombers and planes going into buildings. They will nurture terror, more baby terrorists out of Afghanistan. It's never stopped, and it will never stop, and now it'll get better and bigger and worse.
Well, I even have a concern, Don, that they have been evacuating some of the Afghani citizens here, that we're going to have mixed in with that some of these Taliban terrorists, because who's going to know the difference? Because they should have had these people ready to leave prior to, with visas and background checks and all those things. But that's not going to happen now. They're just going to bring them here, dump them into our society, and God knows what could happen with those people being implanted in our society.
Right. Look at Lisa's comment. Our party still has Hillary. That's funny.
Lisa.
But you know what? If I did read, Hillary Clinton warned everybody about Afghanistan. Did you all see that? Anybody bother reading about that? I mean, she's a smart woman, and she said if you pull out of Afghanistan, it will be a nightmare scenario. And lo and behold, when a woman says something, nobody listens. But now she did, and then Biden and them, they went ahead and just powered through and owned it. I couldn't imagine sitting up there owning a disaster. I would be like, I'm so sorry. I didn't expect this. Holy crap. I'm going to fix it. But like we said last weekend, we had 2,500 soldiers in there, and now we've got 6,000. That's what they're admitting to. We probably have more. We're on the brink of war at any moment, because if the Taliban is brutal, these aren't people going around roasting marshmallows and singing Kumbaya. They are brutal regime. That's what they are. They're barbaric people. The first time that they hang, skin, I saw reports of skinning missionaries and things of that nature. If those are proven to be valid reports and hit the media, you will see people get totally ticked off and push the Biden administration to fix this. And then we're liable to end up with 15 more thousand soldiers over there and then doing nation building again. I don't care that Biden tells you that we're not in the business of nation building. But when you are coordinating meetings and when you are holding elections, that's nation building. You can say it's not, but that's what it is. We tried. They're deeply religious. They're scared to death of the Taliban. I mean, we trained Jimmy, on 300,000 Afghanistan soldiers.
Yep. And they ran.
And they ran because they were being bombarded with text from Taliban saying, if you fight, I just want you to know I'm going to kill your whole family. They were given ration. We've been telling them for months and months and months that we're going to leave. And we've been working on leaving for months, except for evacuating Americans. I don't know why we didn't do that. But in the meanwhile, what we were doing was we were rationing food to the Afghani police. They got a cardboard box of slimy potatoes to feed the whole police force for a week. Do you know how that breaks the morale? Are you going to sit and fight for a country that can't even feed you? Now, I'm not talking about us, but they're thinking we're poor. They're going to kill me. They're going to kill my wives. I'm out of here. I have nobody to back me up. U.S. just left me.
Oh, yeah. Don, somewhere J.D. Damon right now is foaming at the mouth. Listen to us talk. He's like, oh.
We're going to have to do a pop-up show. That's what we're going to do, a pop-up show and let JD get in here and give his side for sure.
Yeah, somewhere right now, JD's losing his mind. I know I can always feel him rolling his eyes when I would be on, me and Brad be on, we'd be talking about Trump, giving Trump support and whatever, and I could feel him rolling his eyes somewhere. But no, I think everything you said is right on, and I really would like to hear JD's side of it, so we may have to come back and revisit this at some point and kind of battle it out, as far as that goes. I'm interested to see how he defends it, to be totally honest with you.
They haven't been I've watched them all. They haven't been defending it. They can't. They didn't expect it. I don't think that Biden just up and decided that he was going to make the biggest, foreign policy mistake of his presidency, because it would take a lot more to get bigger than this. I don't think he just woke up and decided that he was going to do that. I think that they were all caught by surprise, and it hit hard. I'm not pointing fingers that anybody wanted it to happen, but I'm pointing fingers that you allowed it to happen, and now you're acting like you expected it. What the hell?
No, I agree 100%. You are the man in charge.
Yeah.
COVID is worse than it was. We are now back into a war. You've got this colossal failure over in Afghanistan. Inflation is out of this world. I mean, it's just, he's going to have to own it. He and the Democratic Party have to own this. They can. Yeah. I don't want to hear Trump. It was, Trump was president. Trump was this when COVID started. You're right. He was president, and unfortunately, he has to own that. It would have happened to anybody. I don't care who you were, because nobody knew what was going on. And Biden has made that point very clear.
He has. Yeah, he wants to own it. I mean, he said the buck stops with me. So that kind of eliminated the Democrats' defense. Yeah, this is completely on them. It's a disaster. We hope and pray, and everybody needs to root that this gets better, because this is going to affect us all for years. We don't need to stay there forever, but we shouldn't have abandoned like we did. There's just no reason for it.
Yeah, and I saw this last night too. Trump had like 55,000 people at a rally in Alabama. That's still pretty crazy. So, all right, Don, that's our hour. That goes by quick, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
It goes by quick. So, guys,
sorry, I'm a little out of it. I'm pumped up on allergy medicine.
No, you're good. You've been great tonight. So, guys, we appreciate you stopping by and spending a little time with us here on your Sunday evening. Listen to Don and I rattle on about the week's current events, but we do appreciate it. The support has been unbelievable. It really has. It's been, we've always had good support, Don, but, since you showed up, you add something to our show, and it's absolutely been phenomenal, and we appreciate all of you guys. Of course, you know where you can find us. Don and JD are filling up the social media pages with current events and good discussions going on over there. Make sure you jump on and chat with everybody, the different things that they're posting. Of course, you can find the podcast itself on Podbean. That's where I'll launch it from. But you can also find it on iTunes, iHeart, Sirius XM, Amazon Music, Spotify, anywhere that you can find a podcast. The Just Add Bourbon podcast is there. And as we always end this bad boy, from myself, from JD and Don, no matter how bad your week's been, no matter how bad your day's going, if you just add bourbon, it always gets a little bit better. See you guys next Sunday.